Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Brief. Today, we're very fortunate to have Amy Cook with us. Amy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I am so excited.
Well, we're blessed to have you. Amy Osmond Cook is the co-founder and CMO at Fullcast. Amy, to get us started, why don't you tell us a bit about your background?
Sure. How far back do you want me to go, Chris?
You can go back to the very beginning if you want, but typically most guests start around like college age,
All right.
years,
Sounds
but
good.
you
The
you
only
have an incredible background, so please start wherever
well,
you feel best.
thank you. The only thing I'll say about my early years is I didn't realize until I was an adult how fortunate I was to grow up in a family of entertainers. So my dad was Wayne Osmond. He was one of the four founding members of the Osmond brothers. And ever since I was born, I all I knew was PR, personal branding, event planning, performance, and I didn't realize what an amazing education that was, but that was how I grew up. I grew up in a hotel until I was the age of 6. Then my mom, had me go to traditional school. I became part of the Osmond Family Performing Group. I did 12 shows a week growing up, and then I went to college. In college, I majored in English. I ended up getting a PhD in communication. And I started off doing book publishing. And I thought that was really fun. I was academically trained to do that. And I've been fortunate or unfortunate, depending on the way you look at it, to be at the convergence of a really serious disintermediation in the market. So, for example, I
Right.
entered book publishing right when Amazon was taking hold.
Right.
And so, so I was this traditional book publisher. We got one of my like foundational moments when I knew it was time for me to shift into digital publishing and digital marketing was when we published this incredible series called Goon Holler, and it was from the creators of Yo Gabba Gabba. And because the marketing team didn't come through for us, we were forced to, give a lot of the books back that we had placed in
Mm,
Barnes and Noble. And, that experience lost us a lot of money. And I realized, I think that the marketing angle of this is what's really, really interesting. And as we see, this self-service option for books, we're going to see this digital transformation for everyone. So we quickly shifted our business. I was the founder of a company called Stage Marketing. Originally, it was called Source Media Books. We changed it to Stage Marketing, and then we just went bananas. And that pivot was a really important pivot for us. While I was doing leading stage marketing, one of my clients named Ryan Westwood, who was the CEO of a company called Simplus, asked me if I wanted to be his head of marketing. And it was an absolute honor. I think so highly of Ryan, and I knew that I had a lot to learn. I needed to understand how marketing worked within a department, not just on an agency side of it. And so I said, absolutely. Put the agency kind of on ice from my perspective, had somebody else run it. And then I went full bore into doing fractional CMO work. And so I took, and for Ryan, it was full time. So I took the CMO job, learned everything I could about it. And we were very fortunate to be acquired by Infosys in 2020. I had so much fun doing that. I thought, well, let's see if we can do it again. And I used the same principles that we had been doing with stage marketing and then with Simplus, and we had a repeatable playbook. So then I did one called Pathology Watch with Dan Lambert from 2020 to 2023. That was acquired by Sonic Healthcare. And then one more with Ryan Wells from 2023 to 2024. And that was called Onboard, and it was acquired by Conservice. And then in 2024, my old boss Ryan came to me and said, "Hey, let's do this again. Let's do Fullcast and come and be my co-founder." And it again, I think so highly of him. There was nothing I would ever say no to when it comes to Ryan. And so I was like, absolutely. So I sold my business to Amplio, and now we're just doing Fullcast full time. And it has been the absolute most incredible experience. Again, we're seeing a major pivot from SaaS into services as software. So I feel so lucky that, when I had the opportunity to do book publishing, I was able to pivot into digital marketing. And then when I had the opportunity to work at Simplus, we pivoted into digital transformation. And then when I was working at Pathology Watch, we pivoted into AI enabled and tech enabled services. And now at Fullcast, we're going fully from SaaS. A lot of people call it the SaaS apocalypse, but now
Yep.
into services as software and beyond. And so, what an incredible ride it's been. And I feel really fortunate to be able to have been at those nexus points.
And with your PhD, one thing you didn't mention, because I know that you've had an influence on lots of people as a professor. So talk to
Aw.
us a little bit about that.
That was so much fun. So I was adjunct faculty for Arizona State, for BYU, and for the University of Utah for intermittently for about 25 years. And I just absolutely loved it. It's so fun to be able to see your students, grow and take what they're already good at. Like in some ways,
Yeah.
marketing is such an art and you're kind of born with it, right? It's
Yep.
something that you just feel. And it was really fun to see those people be able to put some science behind it and some people who are very scientific be able to put the art behind it and really
Yeah.
run. So that was really a lot of fun.
What a great opportunity for so many people that got the benefit of your experience. It's
Oh, thank
rare
you.
that I talk to people that have had so many different experiences with such tremendous, like, repeatable success. I mean, it's, and it says a lot about Ryan bringing you in as a co-founder. I mean, that says a lot about trust. It also says a lot
Yeah.
about the belief in marketing. So tell us about the early days. What was it like when you turned the lights on at Fullcast?
At
What was
Fullcast?
yeah,
Well, we were actually pretty lucky because Fullcast was an existing company that we
okay,
purchased outright. So
got it.
Fullcast was originally built by a guy named Bala Bhaskaran, who is now our chief technology officer.
Nice.
Bala was the head of RevOps at Salesforce, and he was the first on time, on budget RevOps leader at Salesforce. It took him 1,500 spreadsheets, 6 months, and a team of 100 to get the territories out on time. And he
Wow.
did it. And he said, there's got to be a better way than this. And
Yeah,
so he founded Fullcast and he had been working on the software. And so Ryan and I, along with Ryan's brother Isaac and Lance Evanson, whom I had all worked with at Simplus, we came together, we purchased the technology. Bala became our first chief technology officer, and we've just started building the business from there. So that was really fun because we didn't have to start from ground zero. And
right.
and because of our experience at Simplus with CPQ is really our bread and butter. We understood the revenue cycle pretty well and so we were able to kind of build from that knowledge.
Yeah. So tell us, I mean, you'd almost have to live under a rock to not know about Fullcast, but still, like, in the simplest terms as CMO, what is Fullcast? What are your superpowers?
Oh, thank you for asking. So, Fullcast is the complete plan to pay platform. So, we do annual planning really well, we do forecasting and deal intelligence really well, and we do commissions planning really well. Now, we do some other things in there, but those are our three main pillars. And right now, we are very lucky, but we're also in transition from taking that SaaS model directly into services as software through an MCP layer, and we also are building a fully native fullcast engine with AI models. So the ability for us to do that really came from two acquisitions. So the first one was Atrium, and Jason Heidema, who was the CEO of Atrium, came on as our chief product officer and is leading our AI strategy. And Chris Liu, who is the co-founder of Copy AI, came on and is our head of AI architecture. And so it's been actually so serendipitous and amazing to see how these leaders see the vision of what we're trying to do and have stayed on board and we're all
Yeah.
working together. So it's it's really very humbling for me and also very exciting to be able to see people who are the caliber of Jason and Chris and Bala say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we see what we're doing here. Let's go."
I have to give you credit. The fact that you were saying about how these wonderful companies came together and these incredible people that are leading these companies set their egos aside to build something bigger, better together. At the same time, your wind chimes were going like that. It's like something magical just happened there. I don't know. Like
You know
that's
what?
definitely a
You know
first.
what is so sweet about what you said just now is those wind chimes were given to me when my dad died a year and a half ago, and a
Oh,
dear
that's
friend of
amazing.
mine put them in, and it's dedicated to Wayne Osmond. So it brings it all back full circle in this
I
conversation.
love it. I love it. That's so magical. That is
It
fantastic.
is. It
So
is.
tell me a little bit about your buying committee, the
Oh,
audience that you're going in. How do you look at the different segments and the ICP and personas? It's got to be somewhat tough in some ways because you're selling to salespeople,
yes, you're absolutely right.
and I
And into high
haven't.
tech. There is not
Right.
a worse slash better way to sell because the people that are in high tech that are buying your stuff, they're like, "I think I could probably build this myself if given the time and
Yes.
opportunity," right?
Right.
But it's also amazing because they understand the value of it too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so in our buying committee, we sell basically the best to large sales teams. If you are a team of two salespeople, your territories are pretty easy to manage. If you have
Yeah.
2,000, they're very difficult to
Yeah.
manage. And
Yeah.
so we do a really good job with larger sales teams. We also have a really good handle on like the understanding the full buying committee. So we have like the CFO, the CRO, the VP of RevOps. Those three are always involved. Sometimes the CEO is involved. It's harder and harder to buy technology these days, especially with everyone trying to build versus buy and
Yeah.
understand where on that pendulum everything falls. Right now, it seems like the market is really kind of solidifying on the mantra of build the intelligence and buy the infrastructure. And so we
Yeah.
feel fortunate that we are an infrastructure play and a platform play. But I would say that, for us, companies above 200 employees that have engaged sales teams and larger sales teams are very good fit for us. But as we continue to, sell into these buying committees, it is getting tougher and tougher for all technology companies.
Yeah. I'm curious. In a different space, in the medical space, the and well, in finance too, a lot
Mhm.
of times the salespeople own their book,
Yes.
and one of the big problems corporations have is the difficulty in A, keeping them on brand, and
Hmm.
B, having runoff because of some, either incentive or offer or whatever. Is there a component of your platform that supports both sides in a way that brings them together?
Oh, I love that question. No one's ever asked me that exactly in that way before. Yes, one thing that is really fascinating about some of the technology we have is that it pulls it not just from the CRM where salespeople notoriously don't like to put stuff, but it
Right,
also takes it from the unstructured data of emails and also call recordings. So it takes it from three different places and it
yeah,
builds those forecasts based on that and the deal intelligence based on that. So a lot of times, CROs who are using our software and our technology, they use it as a double check against the salespeople
yeah,
that own those books of business that don't necessarily want to put everything in the CRM. And so when you do your one-on-ones with your AEs, you can take a look at your list of accounts and you're like, well, what about this one over here? I understand you had a call with this person over here and da 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 da. So it works really nicely as a double check. And it also takes some of the pressure off of the AEs who just don't want to be like they're salespeople because they like people, right?
yeah,
And they like the selling motion, not because they want to be data analysts. And so
yeah.
I think that it's a really nice way to help both the manager and the AE.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I absolutely love about technology and where it's going, and certainly already is on some level today, is the amount of time it gives you back.
Mhm.
and the way that it either takes notes for you or organizes your next step, or frankly helps you with context switching and organizing your time better. I mean, all those things
100%.
are massive, massive problems, and yeah, I could totally see where your platform would do that in lots of ways, both intentionally and almost unintentionally,
Yeah.
which is kind of the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, it is. It is the beauty of that. I never realized until I went to Fullcast, like, why gong recordings were so valuable. Like, why
Yeah.
does it matter if you record a call? Well, because it's another data point that you can
Yep.
analyze and you can use to help, help pull the all the company metrics and information together. So,
But I also like the fact that one of the things you shared earlier is that you've got MCP pathways for people, or you
mhm,
can do a native
mhm,
installation, right? Because
that's right.
some already have things that they want to attach to and environments that they want to build with. So I think it's really smart of you to not be a one way plug and play solution. I think that a lot of organizations are struggling with that dilemma today because the pace of tool set integration, especially AI enabled kind of co-working kind of components. I mean, we've never seen the scale of change and the pace of
Uh,
change like we've seen in the
so
last
so much
18
so.
months. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there are some legacy systems, like you mentioned, medical, that they're never going to go AI probably. Like Epic,
Yeah.
do you think Epic's gonna change anytime soon? Probably not, right?
Right. Probably
So
not. Yeah.
the best that we can do is really like try to build those MCP layers so we can integrate and pull some of that information out. In fact, I'm doing a super interesting project right now with a large medical company where we are taking some disparate systems. One of them lives the contract data for all of the
Mm,
insurance plans. In another lives the sales pipeline, and we're going to be using Claude to match those up. And it's going to be amazing foundational change for the company. And we really don't have to change their systems. And
yeah.
so I love all of the things that AI can do in that way. And then, when companies that want a fully native AI system, they can have that if they wanted to. So,
Right. Yeah. That makes total sense.
mhm,
Um, One of the things we hear a lot, as a marketing consultancy, the clients that bring us in are almost always have KPIs and dashboard data that is incredibly inaccurate.
mhm,
And yet they're complaining about the marketing not working in certain levels. And we always start with if you're looking at too much data, it's a waste of time.
yeah,
Second part is if you're looking at the wrong data, it's even worse because you're making decisions based on things that are
yeah.
leading you astray. How do you guys help solve some of that?
I really love that question. That garbage in, garbage out mantra is so true, right?
Yep,
If they have bad data in their CRMs, if they have bad data in their HubSpots, whatever marketing
yep,
automation platform they're in, it's going to yield bad data. And so the only way that I've been able to really do it is to get down in a granular level. And one reason I'm really grateful that I got a PhD was because it taught me how to use data, and it taught me how to go deep into the data and to look at things line by line. There's a real reticence among people to look at that data line by line. They think
yeah,
it's either beneath them or that they shouldn't have to do it, or it's somehow a judgment on their technical abilities if they're looking at the data manually. And I don't believe that. And I'm old
yeah,
school, so maybe that's just me. But I think that being able to look at that data line by line and really understand what's going on is incredibly important for a CMO, for a CRO, for a CEO, and to be able to dive all the way deep,
yeah,
even if you're just spot checking somebody else's data, make sure that it's accurate. I think it's really important. Um, Actually, I was hired as a consultant a few years ago because the CEO called me and said, I want you to do a project for me because my CRO says that the CMO is giving him fake data. And the CMO is saying, there's nothing wrong with this data. We're getting tons of leads. What's wrong with you, CRO, that you can't turn this into real sales pipeline and win the deals? And so I said, okay, this is a really interesting project. And I'm totally going to do this. And so the first thing I asked for was I called up the RevOps leader and I said, I want every single form to come into my inbox. And I can't tell you the amount of pushback I got from that. She was like, "Why would you ever do that? That's backwards. Like you would why would you? It's automated. It goes straight in." And it wasn't until I was looking at the form fills and the actual data that I realized that the CMO was getting those leads, but they were coming from fake emails.
Mm,
Somebody had been running somebody had been taking all of their paid ads and running them out of the ad spend at the first of the day, and with fake emails, she didn't know because she wasn't in the data, you know?
yeah,
And so that was a really interesting project for me to work on, and it really taught me the value of getting into the data. So I think that foundationally, you have to do whatever it takes. You can do it with AI. You can
yep,
do it with, um offshore people. You can do it with
yep,
onshore people. You can do it with,
yep,
a
yep,
combination of human and AI, I think is probably the best. I just did a project with Claude that parsed down 14 million records into the 20,000 most usable in my ICP. I could
yep,
not believe how fast we did it. We did it in 2
yeah.
hours. And
Wow.
so what's possible for us today was not even possible for us a
Yeah,
year ago, right? It's
unimaginable.
just
Right,
incredible.
right.
But so I think that would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is don't rely, if you're a marketer, don't rely on vanity metrics. Nobody cares how many people came to the
Yeah,
website. All they
yeah,
care about is what kind of pipeline you're getting for the sales team.
that's right.
That's the metric that everybody agrees on as pipeline. And
Yep,
so from my perspective, what's really important as a marketer is to say, yes, I will hold to this pipeline number, but you also need to know that pipeline is not linear. Pipeline comes
yeah,
from many sources. And a good team in this industry, if it's enterprise, should have 70% outbound and 30% inbound or whatever your numbers are.
yep, yep,
And that way, getting the entire executive team on the same page in terms of where this pipeline should come from enables marketers to be very relevant and contribute very much to the discussion of revenue and be very, very important to revenue, but not be responsible for all of the pipeline because
yeah,
you've already discussed where it should be sourced in which aspects. So getting
yeah,
benchmark reports, I think, is really important. There was a long way of saying what I just said was go deep in your data, lean in on the metrics that matter to the entire executive team, which is pipeline, and make sure that you leverage benchmark reports for your industry so you don't sign up for 100% of the pipeline.
yeah, yeah. No, that's totally smart. Um, one of the things that we say to clients frequently, and it's interesting how the response varies from yes, of course, to I don't know what that means. And
Mhm.
that is, the single most important place to start KPI wise is actually customer satisfaction.
Ooh, I love that.
And the reason being is social proof is all dependent on it, and happy customers, retention, advocacy. I mean, that's the dream, right? If you get to advocacy or,
Yeah.
G2 reports are fine, but you have to go well beyond that. Somebody has to say to a peer at a conference or, on Slack or whatever, Amy, I love this solution. Here's why.
Yeah.
And the difference between that, you can't buy that ad, but I'll tell
Mhm.
you, when you earn it, it's incredibly powerful. How do you guys approach that for your business?
I
Obviously,
love that. I love that. I totally agree with you that we lean in on the customer service metric that we lean on is the NRR, net retained revenue.
yep,
And so we feel like our goal is 120% NRR, and we feel like we have to do everything we can to make that happen. A lot of our resources go to customer success for that reason.
yep,
And when we find, and we have a shout out channel that it mostly is dominated by customer success, talking about their customers, which is amazing. And when
yep,
we find someone that's really happy, we try to do a video case study with them. And sometimes we'll do like an award, like a quarterly award for our customers because it's an awesome opportunity for us to hear from our customers directly. And
yep,
it's not something that often happens naturally. So if you can create an avenue where it does happen pretty organically, even if you
yep,
have to say, okay, well, we're going to have a customer of the month award, or we're going to have a quarterly company meeting or whatever. You can create those opportunities. Then I think it makes it more organic for you to get that feedback and that
Yeah, no,
advocacy.
for sure. For sure. That makes total sense. Do you have a product advisory board and do you have a brand or company advisory board?
It's a great question. Yes, we do. We have both. And they are where we solicit a lot of our feedback and advice from. We have, in fact, I just met with one of the people on our board today, ran a model by him, ran a couple of slides by him, got his feedback. He's very sophisticated in the industry and is a customer right now. And so he was like, this is good, this is not good, do this, not that. And it's magical. It's so, so good and so helpful. Do you guys have one? Do you guys have a product advisory board or
We
customer?
support clients in developing them, but
Yeah.
I'm actually an advisor on a couple of the
Mhm.
product platforms we use. I
Uh-huh.
mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. That
No
way I
brainer.
can ask the hard questions, I can get the real answer, and frankly, they know they have to give it.
Mhm.
And an answer I'm not happy with is better than not knowing, and it helps me think about how to solve the problem, even if it doesn't include them.
Yeah.
Um, but I find it amazing how many companies don't take advantage of that. What a great, avenue for really connecting with people in ways that gives you real unfiltered human experience based feedback. And, especially because you have such a diverse buying committee, the senior leadership CFO's got a different perspective entirely than the CRO,
Yeah.
than the CEO. And, so their motives are very different. And the hands on people, you need to know how they're feeling about the product. Because, I mean, we can all list in our mind at least a dozen platforms that we wish somebody would ask us, like, what we
Mhm.
could suggest they do, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the brands that don't do that, it's baffling. It just seems like such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree because it's also really awesome. We do quarterly meetings, and so it's an awesome opportunity for us to prepare for those meetings. It shows us where we're tracking, where our progress is, where we've fallen behind, where we've advanced, and
mm,
it's also really nice to have a cheering squad, to
yeah,
have somebody kind of, not just hold up the measuring stick, but also be, rooting for you in your corner, especially if they are your ICP. That's really
yeah,
helpful.
yeah. One of the things we encourage brands to do is to as a part of those regular interval meetings is to bring to the table, sometimes even from outside resources, a perspective about what the futurists really
Mhm.
see coming next.
Yeah.
Why? Because it takes it away from the, functional stuff that
Mhm.
is obviously still very important and will be a part of the fabric of the conversation. But you can't I'm always baffled by the people that think that research can ask a customer what they want next. They can tell
Mhm.
you on some base level, but they can't really tell you because they don't know what's possible. They
That's
can't
it.
imagine it. But when you talk about what's changing in culture, what's changing in behavior, what's changing in technology, sparks can come out that you can carry forward. And to me, those are the magic things that can really energize a group and have it feel much less like a sales meeting or
Love
a
that.
retention meeting,
Mhm.
and much more about, we're looking out for your future as much as we're looking out for ours.
Yeah,
And there's
I couldn't agree. Mhm.
something really important about being in it together, right? And I think that's a interesting way to frame things for a lot of brands.
I really agree with that. I think it's important. One of the things that I have um, heard people say, and I believe, is that the mark of a really good CEO is the ability to see around corners. There are some people who just have a knack for it, that can
Yeah,
see what's coming next. And it's exciting when you talk with some of those people. And if they're on your board, you are so lucky because you can use them to help anticipate. And they're almost like a crystal ball in some ways.
yeah. Yeah. So from a marketing perspective in the CMO role, I imagine you're doing events and conferences. You already talked about having those committees and advisory boards, which is awesome. What are
Yeah.
some of the other things that are part of your mix and what you do and you and your team do?
That's a great question. So I have a very small team. We try to do everything we can with AI. I have one person who runs events and social media. She's wonderful, fabulous. I have one person who does RevOps and digital campaigns. She's amazing. My team is amazing. One person who runs the content and does all the content marketing, and then one person who runs the website. And between the five of us, with a couple of offshore helpers who run our, help us with that data that we need so badly,
Sure.
we have a really nice, tight, small yet mighty team. And so, from my perspective, in B2B, the most important channels that we see are the about 50% team, 50% programs, right? And within that 50% programs, we have the event budget, we've got the paid budget, we've got some of the variable spend, like lead gen programs or joint initiatives. Podcasting is in there as well. So the one area that I would really like to do more of and that I have been experimenting with is influencer based marketing campaigns. I
Mhm.
think especially the micro influencers in B2B marketing are super important. And that's just something I'm starting to lean into now. So for me, the LinkedIn channel is extremely important. Um, Everyone that I need to connect with is on there pretty much. And so it's a real great opportunity for me to be able to leverage that particular channel.
Got it. Um, One of the things that occurs to me is that go to market and the sales motion, it almost needs to be it needs to have a rhythm to it that is
Mm,
similar across the company, yet it
yeah,
needs to flex enough to tie to the unique kind of personality of each salesperson.
so true.
Otherwise, what you do is you normalize to the mean, and the mean isn't enough to win, at least not at scale.
Beautifully said. I love that. Yeah.
How does the system help people do that? And where's that does that come out in your messaging, from a marketing perspective?
That's really great. So, are you talking about by system? Do you mean my marketing engine within Fullcast?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. So we are pretty flexible. Um, we encourage people to submit marketing requests for any kind of campaign that they would like. So we try to push and pull together. We try to receive that feedback, do the campaigns that people are asking for, and also ask people to get out there more, to, be present, to build brands, especially when it comes to the answer engine. That AEO is reliant upon brand leaders promoting their brand. They don't
Yeah.
lean into the customer, pages very much, or the company pages on LinkedIn as much as they do the brand profiles. And so
Yep.
I've really been trying to get our executives to post more, to lean more into becoming thought leaders and brand champions for that. It's a work in progress for me. I have, especially when you work with people who are naturally humble and team
Mm,
players and just want to do
yeah.
good work, like our team. We've been so fortunate that way. Those usually are not the people who want to go out and brag about themselves, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to make them.
Right, right. Well, the
So
the cool thing is that they're all smart, highly capable people, so the content's there, it's just trapped
it's right.
or it isn't coming out right, or as fully as it could, and it's
Yeah.
only touching those that are around it close by.
Yeah, that's
I think
absolutely right. So one of the things I'm trying to do is align us all on that service as a software model and build a full cast specific model that is, I would say, is probably 95% done right now. So once we
yeah,
have that model, we can each kind of like see the elephant in different ways and help build out different um, leverage different personalities and different perspectives on that brand perspective. So that's my goal for it. But it, like you say, it is always a challenge to be able to be flexible enough to meet not just the needs of the people who are in the organization, but also the the company engine, the company
Yeah.
vibe, right? There are some
Yeah.
companies that are like super fast, hard hitting, running a million miles an hour. And then there are companies who are a little bit slower and a little bit more flexible. And then there are some that are right in the middle. And so I found that the more companies that I've worked with, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Chris, you've probably worked with thousands of different companies in your agency. Do you find that that rhythm of the company varies a lot between
Yeah.
founders? And is it because of the founders, or is it because of the company or the industry? What are you finding?
Gosh, it varies so dramatically. And, people don't buy products, they buy people and culture.
It's
And
true.
the product and services are kind of secondary. And obviously, they have to deliver. But the delivery is all reliant on people, and that's where, when people complain about AI, I'm like, "Stop." The AI will not replace you as a
Yeah.
human.
Right.
In fact, what it'll do is it'll give you more time to be more human because
Hmm.
it'll never be human. It'll act like it, but
Yeah.
it's only normalizing to a depiction of what you, were, and we're constantly changing as people, right? We have different life stages. We have different
So
kind of,
true.
ups and downs and sideways. And AI won't ever be able to do that the way that we do. And to me, that's part of the beauty is it lets us be more human. And so, I think part of the thing we look for is like, how does a company's innate culture and personality continue to thrive and relate to people in a very earnest and authentic way,
Hmm.
and an approachable way, so it's on, you're meeting people where they are, but you're not telling them what to think. You're not saying you have to do it this way. You're
Hmm.
not over, it's not about speeds and feeds, although that stuff has to be available. They have to fall in love with your persona, your actual culture and your people. So
Hmm.
yes, there's definitely, there's cultural based on geography, there's culture based on size. There's some companies that are anti-meeting, right?
Hmm.
Just philosophically. And then there's some companies that are meeting to death, and they make it work, right?
Yeah.
So that, and that's actually one of the things that we make fun of is this notion of best practices,
Yeah.
because what's best practices for you may not at all be for us.
Hmm.
And yet it's always worth learning and seeing how it works. But if your culture and your personality and your kind of, total experience end to end isn't the same, your best practices could be actually the worst thing we could do to try and, to emulate. So, but
That's really interesting. One thing I find like super fascinating about what you just said is that, with AI in particular, a lot of people are so worried that marketers' jobs are going to get blown away by AI. And I find that
yeah,
kind of funny because marketing is half science and half art.
yeah,
And art requires a great deal of emotion,
yep,
right? And
yep, yep,
there is no emotion in AI. So at least half of marketing is impervious to AI.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
that's not true for really any other. Like, I feel like marketing should be the safest of everyone
right, right.
because
Well,
marketing is really the one that has so much emotion in it.
it is giving us that bring thoughtful, compelling, evocative ideas to the table, a new avenue in.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to attribute this to, but one of my favorite sayings about AI is that um, AI is the cover band, not the artist. And you think
Oh,
about that,
that's
you can really feel
true.
that, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great cover band, but
Mhm.
it's never the artist because, Eric Clapton's going to play the song differently in his own spirit, in his own way every
Mhm.
time, whereas
Yeah.
AI is going to copy it.
Mm-hmm.
and that's the biggest difference. So that one's or as another friend of mine said, AI is the roadie, humans are the rock star, and
Love that too.
it's another good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So along your journey, are there any people that you want to give a shout out to for being particularly influential or great influences in
Oh,
your growth and development?
so many. And the only reason I even hesitate is because I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody. Because there have been so many incredible people that I owe so much to throughout my
Yeah,
career. I mean, if I'm starting from the beginning, it's my dad's family,
yeah,
my Aunt Marie is such an icon, showed me how to work as a
yeah.
woman and not ever take no for an answer. My dad told me I could do everything, but my mom was the one who actually helped me get the lessons and
Nice, nice.
what to do. Super grateful for a woman named Cheryl Snap Connor who taught me PR. Super grateful for a guy named John Sorensen who gave me my first full-time job when I really needed one, um, later in life. Grateful for my husband for, um, being there to as we balance kids and family and full-time jobs. I could never do it without a partner like him. Amazing.
Yeah,
Grateful for Ryan Westwood, who's gave me a shot into tech and has been an incredible partner throughout. Grateful for all of my Fullcast team. Grateful for my marketing team, who is they're just crackerjack. They're incredible. Super grateful for, people like you who are furthering the discussion in the marketplace so marketers everywhere can continue to grow and thrive and evolve. There's just a few.
yeah. I love that. I love that. And if others come to mind when we have you back next,
Oh, I love it.
we'll cover them. We'll cover that too. So as we kind of wrap up here, are there anything coming up for Fullcast that you want to make sure our listeners hear?
Oh, so one thing I'm so excited about is we have really transitioned, in my opinion, effectively through the SaaS apocalypse into services as software. There's a massive, like, just like digital transformation, took on-prem into cloud. The
Yeah.
services as software movement is taking us from cloud into AI.
Yep. Yeah.
And basically what SaaS is, it's, this is cloud infrastructure, right? That is, instead of like you're basically renting your server, right? You're basically like making that CapEx expenditure so much cheaper, right? Into OpEx. You're able to like use these empty containers, but human labor fills it in manually, right?
Yeah.
Now, what we're able to do with services as software is leverage different platforms, connect them through an MCP, and have AI do the work with the humans
Yeah.
managing. That's fantastic. It is so
Yeah.
insane that we can do that
Yeah.
now. So cool. So I think that's one thing that we're really excited about is we have finished doing that. So now we have MCP options. We have the forward deployed engineers. We have tech enabled services. We have fully transitioned our company from software as a service to services as software. And I'm very
Yeah.
excited about that. In October, we will be really hitting that fully native AI engine hard. So we're right in the middle of two tracks. The first one is we're going to keep that SaaS architecture and we're going to connect it really nicely through your FDEs, through your GSIs, through your MCP, and be able to utilize the benefits of AI while keeping your SaaS infrastructure. The
Yeah.
second track is that AI native that is, I think, the future of everything. And depending on your industry, there may be the services as software piece where it's more outcome based, may be the future for some industries, whereas the AI native may be the future for others. So I'm really excited that we have transitioned in that way. And I'll be doing a few press releases alongside of that, but you're to hear first.
I love it. I love it. Super exciting. So much going on, and growth by acquisition with really smart, kind of, additions to the mix, and building a just incredibly strong team. So congratulations on all your progress to date. Speaking of progress to date, Hollywood called and they're going to do a biopic on you.
Oh, I love it.
What's the name of the film? What's
Yes.
the plot or theme, or who's going to play you?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to say that I really, really like Jennifer Connelly. I think
Nice.
she is an older actress who is just uber, uber talented. So I would want someone like her to play me.
I love it.
And I would say maybe the title is What's the Next Act?
I like
Because
it.
I feel like my career has been marked in several stages and through several transitions. In fact, the only reason I started working originally full time when I had a bunch of little kids was because my husband got caught in the financial crisis of 2008 during that transition. So my
Yeah.
whole entire career has been one of transition, and it's been
Yeah.
a really wonderful career. So I appreciate it.
No, that's fantastic. I love it. Well, with that, let's wrap up this episode of Beyond the Brief. Amy Cook, thank you so much for being with us and all you shared. I know our listeners are going to be absolutely hoping that you come back in a year's time, and let's get that scheduled.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode of Beyond the Brief. As always, there's more Beyond the Brief.